So to know where we are these days, you have to seek in the Word. In Titus 3:3, for we ourselves also were sometimes foolish, disobedient, deceived, serving diverse lusts and pleasures, living in malice and envy, hateful and hating one another. Disobedience appears beside deception and bondage, underscoring that rebellious autonomy does not free, but actually enslaves you. Not intellectual doubt, but hardened will produces relational fracture and ethical decay. So the social order crumbles when the hearts reject God, for God is love. The pillars of the earth are being exposed, and that's love. So ungrateful in Strong's 88:44, unthankful, not forgiven, ungraceful, not experiencing grace. In Strong's 54:83, charmosia, deliver, forgive, freely given, grant, forgiven, bestow, grace, pardon, rescue. Grace, extending favor. Extended favor, which is grace. Benevolent actions that flow from favor rather than obligation. Freely bestowing a gift, because none of us deserve it, remitting a debt or penalty, and graciously granting a request. Accent falls on the generosity of the giver, not the worthiness of the recipient. Freely give as ye have freely received. And then it's on them, because it makes you free. If they remain in rebellion, doing good and speaking loving to somebody piles coals on their head, and you do it to hopefully the saving of the soul by destruction of the flesh, because that fleshly nature is not going to remain. So God's unmerited favor, and that's Romans 8:32, Colossians 2:3, Galatians 3:18, Philippians 2:9, and Ephesians 4:32. And every time I do this, there's interference. So, next one is unholy, Strong's 4:62. The last days when society will be characterized by wholesale rebellion against divine order, wicked, irreverent. 2 Timothy 3:2. Without reverence for what should be hallowed, utter disregard for what is sacred, willful disrespect of the things of God. 1 Timothy 1:9. Knowing this, that the law is not enacted for the righteous one, but for the lawless and insubordinate, for the ungodly and sinful, for the unholy and profane, for the murders of fathers and murders of mothers and slayers of man. And that's not just physical, y'all. When you try to bite and devour somebody and steal their light, it is going to destroy you. That is trying to take a bite of the apple. Words are apples. A word fitly spoken is an apple of gold. Biting and devouring the apple of God's eye is not wisdom. That's destruction. You know, where we did the little short with the rooster and painting the hardware cloth. I was trying to think of what to call it. You know, you saw how it just disappeared. What was in front of you is all of a sudden gone and you can see clearly. So contempt for the sacred erodes every sphere of life. The light of life. That life, the light, love, joy, peace, happiness, gentleness, kindness, forgiveness, generosity, self-control, chastity, which is love. Those are the pillars. The pillar of love is where everything builds. If you don't have love, you're nothing. Jesus said, if you've seen me, you've seen the Father. Because if they saw the Father in his true form, be like they never existed. So unauthorized fire, Leviticus 10, 1 through 2. Irreverent touch of the ark. And the Ark of the Covenant now, because we did the study on the Old Covenant. Well, the Ark of the Covenant of the word of their testimony. The two witnesses are here. The Word and the Spirit. Two bear witness of the Father, and a three cord cannot quickly be broken. 2 Samuel 6, 6 through 7. So unholiness invites divine judgment and exile. Malachi 2, 10 through 11. Revelation of the human heart. Unholiness exposes a disposition fundamentally at odds with God's nature. Romans 8, 7. Persistent unholiness contradicts genuine faith. Hebrews 12, 14. Matthew 18, 15 through 17, and 1 Corinthians 5, guidelines to restore those whose conduct persistently profanes the faith community. It's not what you say, it's how you say it. That's wisdom. Because the Father's willing none should perish, and then two can't walk unless they be agreed. A hot posture that despises the sacred. The day will come when nothing, unclean, unholy, will ever enter the New Jerusalem, the city of peace. So holy in Strong's 37:41, holy, mercy, devout, sacred, purity, sure, pious, righteous, hallowed, by the intrinsic or divine character consecration, sanctioned by hidden law of God, accords with the divine truth, deserves respect. Moral purity that is in accord with God's own character, and covenant faithfulness, inward devotion and reverence, outward conduct, righteous. Integrity, loyalty, and ethical consistency before God. Resurrection, that's Acts. Read the book of Acts. Hello. Acts, the resurrection, the action, and then the book of Acts that gives instructions. Overseers, epistles, priesthood, the book of Hebrews, worship and judgment, Revelation. Everybody's like, oh, it's in this order, it's that order. No. Depending on where you are at, depends on where you are going to fall. It's not a consecutive order of this happens, that happens, that happens. God is a God of order. What you sow is what you reap. And your reaping is what you had sown. The Old Testament concealed, the New Testament revealed. Remember in the Old Testament where the rich man was in hell and he was begging God, if you'd send me back from the dead, I can warn my brothers. And they said, well, if they don't take, Moses and the prophets, who are they going to believe that came back from the dead? Well, that rich man came in the New Testament revealed as a poor man, Jesus, to show them how to do, what to do. And they didn't even know who he was. He wasn't revealed to them. They attacked their own brother. That's a kingdom divided. And you remember, James and John's mother asked Jesus that she wanted her sons to be the right hand and the left, the right hand of God. And Jesus told her, it's not mine to give. It's God's. Jesus is the one that came back. The Old Testament of the rich man revealed in the New Testament to warn his brothers. And they slowed him down river. Unloving, strong, 794. Not loving, without natural affection. Not to cherish, hardened or hard-hearted and ruthless. Natural bonds of affection are severed. Advanced stage of moral collapse in people. When you don't love your brother as you love yourself, that's a moral collapse. It's what we're seeing in the world today. So Romans 1:13, senseless, faithless, heartless, ruthless. 2 Timothy 3:3, unloving, unforgiving, slanderous, without self-control, brutal, without love of good. Downward drift of the pagan world, death of ordinary human warmth that should exist between parents, children, spouses, neighbors, and fellow believers. And then 2 Timothy 3:1-5. The progression is sobering when the most basic God-given impulses of care are suppressed. The door opens to violence and celebration of evil. Well, I think we're going to see the Passover of today. Such a breakdown is not merely a sociological trend. It is the outworking of rebellion against the Creator whose image is love. The great rebellion. The mark of a beast. Deuteronomy 6:6-7. Ephesians 6:1-4. Romans 12:10. 1 John 3:16-18. Romans 1 and 2. Romans 1 and 2 Timothy 3. And most people, well, that's 1 John, not John itself, the first book. John is a book called Beloved. You want to learn love? Read John. Isaiah 58:6-7. Amos 2:6-7. And Hosea 1-6, chapter 1, verse 6. And the command to love, John, Beloved, 13:34. Only the regenerating of work of the Spirit implants affection that lawlessness destroys. And that's without the law of love. You're not under a law if you have love, because love doesn't do any wrong. Romans 5:5. Discipleship must cultivate prayer for dependence on the Spirit and deliberate actions of compassion. Deliberate actions of compassion. You freely give as you freely receive. So, counterculture witness, adoption, foster care, hospitality to refugees, and sacrificial support for the persecuted. Proclaim the reality of a community rescued from heartlessness. So, many are afraid because they don't understand things and they haven't had the truth shed. But the eye, your pupil, the color, and then the outside where outer darkness lies. Well, heaven, you can see and hear the line in the sand. This is where evil's pushed and wickedness is pushed even further out into outer darkness. The empty eyes. The eye is the gateway or window. It's more of the window into the soul. Your gateway is your mouth. Emptiness and great darkness is no light of the eyes. How great is that darkness? The apple of God's eye. Words are as apples of gold. 2025, the great divide. The light of the eyes reveals the hearth on the fireplace. Flames of love. You know, he says he comes back with eyes of fire. Said it would clearly be understood where what is on the heart is revealed, spews from their mouth. Smoky eyes, clouds, and a covering. See through the veil darkly or muddy. Clear as crystal, able to see God. Darkness, no light, no life. Fleshly desires, no more, pure emptiness. The sinner rejection of God casts themselves out. A sovereign Father gives you what you want. So see in heaven, joy, peace, etc., is held to those who reject and never ends, and they will see what could have been different, and they'll relive that moment. They'll be stuck in that loop and pushed. In the outer darkness, they'll be pushed that's where the wicked go. Outer darkness, it won't exist anymore. There's no more rising. The waters of chaos are pushed out. So hopefully things are clear, but there's still hidden things, and even what's given. But that's children's bread, y'all. Look at the children, if they haven't been manipulated by the world enough. But the young ones that still love unwavering, still tell the truth unwavering, still trust unwavering. And this time of the year that's coming up, Christ's death, because, back in the day of the two witnesses, the Word and the Spirit, well, they're back. You want to talk about craziness breaking loose? When God raises up and draws all men unto him. That's what we're seeing. You were given this opportunity to turn back to the Father, because he's willing that you should not perish. If you do not do so and turn back to the Father and change from wicked ways, the blood's not on my hands, y'all. And it's not on yours if you're warning. But it's not in how you do it or what you say. It's how it's said, how it's delivered. And it has to be by God's word, not of ourselves. It's sad to see people reject a loving Father because they can be included. If they don't want to be, Jesus said, have I not said you are as gods? Where you fall in there is what you're going to be given. Unless you turn back to the living Father, you don't clean yourself up. Don't think you can clean yourself up. Just start reading the Word. Or better yet, talk to Him. Let Him lead you to start reading the Word, to unveil things. Just be honest. He already knows everything. You're not going to hide anything from the Father. And you can have mercy and grace bestowed upon you. He's willing none should perish. That's why we are still here and going through all of this, and why everything's not been wiped out. The judgment's here across the whole world. God's not mocked, y'all. Things of the world are going away. And if they can't figure that out, there's no protection. God isn't the storm. He's in the storm. He has his way in the storm. It's what man's created. God will use it for his will to save. Even if it's just to save the soul. Because if we don't have love, faith, hope, and charity, these three are one. But without charity, we are nothing. Without love, we are nothing.